know we make things shake. You know I gets that money,
all day.
that cake. I gets that bread. You know we make things shake. You know I gets that money, that cake. I gets that bread.
I'm back in the building.
You know I get that money.
Put a little dirty South swag up in here. Well, you know what it is.
Let us have voice and stuff, and our opinion and feelings and stuff matter. But when we went around other people, they felt like she wasn't a good parent.
So I'm gonna tell you something. Your parent allowing you to be vocal is a little bit different than somebody showing up for you emotionally, Jessica. And what I mean by that is, when you became an adult, did you feel like you knew how to process, articulate, communicate, understand your feelings? And did you feel emotionally secure?
I could say I did, like, somewhat, because, I don't know, like, my mama did, like, care about our feelings and stuff, so I feel like she did, but my daddy had a different type of parenting. Mm-hmm. Was more like how everybody else explained it, like, so, but he didn't live in the house with us, so we only got that side when we was around him. So on my mama's standpoint, yeah, but on my daddy, it was like a little different.
So when you say cared about your feelings, give us an example.
Like, if I'm dealing with my mama, if I'm sad, if I'm upset, or if I'm scared, anything, she'll be there for me and try to explain to me what I'm going through and try to be as supportive as possible. But like with my dad, he was just like, you know, shut up, just do what I say type stuff.
So who is now trying to be that way with their children, where you're trying to get them to express, talk to them, validate how they feel?
I know for a fact I am. Throughout my whole childhood, everything, my mama had this saying: you are to be seen, not heard. Anybody come over, go in the back room while they're in the front room, or go outside like I was outside or whatever, so we wouldn't be in the way. Or whenever we go somewhere, don't ask for shit, don't say shit. It's time to go, get in the car, let's go. So it's kind of like, you know, it's rules and regulations to everything. You break one, you get beat.
Right.
So
Any idea?
As an adult,
go ahead.
I said, so as an adult, it was like seeing I heard. So at one point when I was younger, it's like, when I'm thinking about something, or I want to ask my mama about something, I'm scared because I don't want to get fucked up. So I keep it to myself. So now going through different stuff now, you know, thinking for myself and doing shit differently as being a single parent, and seeing in my son made me think about my childhood. So now when I talk to my mom, I get like real with her. Like it gets so deep to where she'll walk off on me. I'll be like, yeah, I know you know exactly what I'm talking about. Accountability. A point.
Right. I like what you shared, and Jessica, I like what you shared as well. I love that you had some sort of experience in your upbringing where you were given a sense of just your feelings being validated. Because again, in our culture, the disciplinary area that a lot of us were parented from, it was just a fear-based punishment type space where you did not change because you understood, you know, why you needed to change or do things different. You changed based on fear of your parents' punishment. And so it put you in a space where over time, a lot of us became secretive or shameful about our feelings or our behaviors. And this is why when you grow up now, like you get a whole decade or two worth of people that are not willing to speak up about their flaws. Like we weren't given those tools to be able to say, okay, here, instead of being shameful about what you did, here is the lesson, here is the why, here is, you know, whatever consequences of your actions. But more importantly, I want to make sure you understand. Do y'all get where I'm coming from?
Yeah.
It's important that this is understood. So as you move forward, even with yourself, like validating your feelings so that you're not ashamed of whatever has occurred. Anybody ever dated somebody where you realize like this person really can't have those hard conversations, like how Frank said his mama walk off, not because they don't know what the fuck going on or they don't understand, but because it's almost like as soon as you get to talking about something that they might have done wrong, or the conversation gets to a space where it's time to be honest about what we have done incorrectly or made a poor choice on or fucked up on, they can't take that. Like it's like I'm too shameful, or I feel like now you're doing something to me by even talking about this.
That's how that they is now. Like we was having a discussion this morning. I was telling him, you immediately go in defense mode when somebody's saying something. You defend it. Oh, I don't do that, and you got people telling you do it, but you're not. So it's hard to communicate with him sometimes.
I used to be like that.
That's an argument.
What I'm trying to get y'all to understand is what they're going through, because they're going through something, right? When you just can't say, I fucked up, my mistake, my apologies, I see where shit went wrong, I get where I could have done things different. When you can't just do this stuff, something is going on. Everybody clear on that point, right? I don't care if it's your mother, boyfriend, girlfriend, any adult, right? There is something going on mentally and emotionally when you cannot just do that, because everybody understands. I don't care what race, religion, adult age you are. Everybody understands that nobody's perfect. We all make mistakes. Everybody go through ups and downs. I don't think there's anybody in this Zoom that believes that anybody's life is just perfect and they're perfect and nobody makes mistakes. So with that being said, it's safe to just, lay the foundation that when someone cannot just accept that at this point or another, they were, incorrect or made a poor choice or made a mistake, something is going on. Everybody understand that? Mm-hmm. So what I'm proposing is that you guys acknowledge more that they probably don't have the emotional awareness like what we're getting in this book club as we go through these books. Because if they did, you'll realize certain feelings, right? Although they may come up, they don't matter in the realm of just saying, I made a mistake. Everything doesn't require you to jump defensive, feel like some heavy punishment is coming, get in a space where you damn near get toxic or argumentative or nasty, because you have to actually, be accountable. Y'all get what I'm saying?
Yes. And then what deflection really mean, like people be getting offended when you say something, but if you look in reality about what something really mean and you really, really doing it, I just don't understand that either.
It's the emotions. Jessica, what I'm saying is feelings get in the way of your ability to comprehend simple shit. So like you're saying, it could be something so simple that we all know that I was wrong for, or I didn't have to approach the situation that way. It could be clear as day. But if I start to feel before I think, if I start to feel before I give the conversation grace, if I start to feel before my mind processes just the simple shit, I'm not going to see it as something simple. Anybody ever been in a situation where you're dealing with another human being and you realize like, oh my God, their feelings are at the forefront of this conversation. So nothing I'm saying, no facts, nothing that we both know actually occurred is going to get heard or weighed out in this shit.
Yeah, I used to be like that. I used to be like, even if it, for them, their experience of me was true, I used to be very defensive. Like, well, I'm not, like, they couldn't say nothing to me because I'm always was triggered. Number one, I was already embarrassed. I beat myself up enough.
Come on.
So them adding their experience of me on top of me already in my head, feeling down, shaming myself, embarrassed, all that did was add to what I was already saying to myself. So I would get triggered. It was like, I don't need you doing what I do to myself every day, so I can't hear what you're saying to me. Because now I feel like you coming for me like I come for myself.
Yes.
And people, if they're not in that space, they don't get that.
Yes. And I'm going to tell you, now that you've read this book, do you understand where it comes from?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
This is why this shit is so relevant, because it lets you know I'm not just broken. Like, I ain't just fucked up. Like, I got this shit from somewhere specific. I was almost groomed to be this way. Because like you said, I'm worried more about the shame or whatever I'm feeling about what I did rather than actually making right what I did. So I become a problem. And this is when y'all hear me talk about, like, on my platform, you're the type, exactly how Chrissy explained she's the perfect type of person that I would say is welcoming being lied to. Because how you gonna tell her the truth? How the fuck can you tell her the truth? If when you're honest with her, she's never going to act mature about the conversation if it has to do with something she's possibly doing wrong. She's a prime candidate to just tell her whatever she want to hear, dog. Tell her whatever she want to hear, whatever to just make her get off the subject so that we can move. You'll never get anywhere. So the lies you got told, they go right along with your personality. There's a lot of people that can't understand that. So when you hear me talk about relationships and I talk about it's not about right or wrong, it's about understanding. When you can't get this type of understanding, you'll always feel like, well, ain't it wrong to lie? I'll understand they lying to me. They the ones wrong. Not knowing that you're everything conducive of a person that needs to be the fuck lied to. Because telling you the truth is awful. You reject the truth. You fight against the truth. Like Chrissy said, you get defensive and angry about the truth. So what the fuck are we telling you the truth for? It gets us nowhere. Go ahead, Chrissy. You were going to say something.
I wanted to say that my mother only validated my feelings when somebody else made me feel that way.
Come on.
But if she made me feel that way, it was okay. You know what I'm saying? If my auntie them said something and she saw my face roll up or a tear drop, oh, she at them. She at them. I be ready to fight, go to jail, everything.
That's that independent single mama way.
It was okay.
That's that independent single mama way. Y'all better not fuck with my child, but I can fuck with my child. Y'all better not cuss my child out, but when we get home, I'll cuss her. Mind you, I'm the most important person, right? Caring for this child. I can cuss her the fuck out, disrespect her, never validate her feelings, never have conversations, letting her know that she's valuable outside of doing what I tell her to do or making some sort of good marks on your report card in school. I can dog out, but if somebody else dog out, I'm at their front fucking door, and that makes sense. And for a lot of us, it's a part of our culture. Well, it's like children nowadays, because for me, like I do a lot of charity events and shit, and I talk to children. They will tell you, like, my mama only acting like that because we here. Like, my mama, she only being like that because we here. She don't act like that at home. And if they mama knew they said that, they'll get an ass whooping when they get home. Get beat because they told the truth about what's going on. So let's lie. No, my mama, she all right. She a good mama. Bitch ain't gonna never tell you how they feel. And you wonder why your relationships go the way that they do. The niggas don't tell you the truth. Your kids can't be truthful with you. And you just got everything set up to where it settles your feelings and it makes you feel like you're doing things correctly. And ooh, if somebody bring up anything that you might not be doing correctly, you gonna spaz out, flip out, bring up everything you bought, how you put a roof over their head, how you push them out. The simple things that by law you're supposed to do if you birth a child, but somehow you're owed some, grand service for that.
I went to marriage therapy, Dorsey. The pastor actually taught me. He was like, the reason why your husband talked to you like that is because, it's okay for him to do that, but he don't like when other people talk to you like that. And I'm like, that don't fucking make sense. He can't call me a bitch and then get mad with my homegirl, like, what up, bitch? That makes no sense. And the pastor was really trying to convince me how it made sense to him. But what I was hearing him say was, it's okay for him to do it. I wasn't hearing him say, in his mind, it makes sense.
Yes. But see, when you don't, Chrissy, when you don't understand, and this is what I be saying when I say, if I say I want to be in a relationship and I say, okay, I'm looking for respect, Chrissy, I'm looking for this, I'm looking for loyalty, I'm looking for trust, our definitions could be different. Because if my mother raised me this way, and this is a part of what I believe is love, I'm loving on you the same way that I was taught love is. So when I'm calling you a bitch, but I don't let nobody else call you a bitch, I feel like it's the same shit my mama did to me. She used to fuck us up and invalidate our feelings, but she ain't let nobody else fuck with us. And of course, she clothed us and fed us in the same token. So it all go under the umbrella of love and care. Who's going to think that their mom doesn't care about them? So all the stuff she does goes in the pot of mothering. It goes in the pot of, this is affection. This is how you treat family. So, I grow up, I get my own family, Chrissy, my wife. I'm doing her how I know love to be done.
And then you sound ungrateful if you even say anything about your feelings. Oh, I gave you this. I put clothes on your back, shoes on your feet, and an education. You should be grateful. Like your other feelings don't matter. Just only she want to see gratefulness.
The reason I'm going to tell you something, Adrian. The reason why books like this are important in our community and conversations like this are important is because our people have a very warped mentality or core belief when it comes to this. We genuinely believe, and if I were like speaking on a live directly about a subject like this, it'll be so many men and women across the nation, especially of our culture and our background, that would argue with me that there is some sort of justification in making your children feel like they owe you for you doing the things that you're supposed to do. Because you decided to birth them. They didn't ask to be here. And somehow it's been embedded in our mental that we're supposed to be in a space where our life is now to be given to them. And every time we feel or think differently than them, we need to be reminded of how they clothed us and how they fed us, and then told about the people that didn't have clothing or food. And this is the shit that we've been justifying our behavior off of.
Yeah, that shit got me cussed out a couple days ago. Pissed me off. Damn, it pissed me off. But me ain't that lying type. I'm gonna give you some direct shit if I can't find
But Frank, you understand everybody can't. Yeah. Everybody cannot take it. Like what Chrissy explained, because I respect what she said. A lot of us need to recognize that's the space we in or used to be in. I'm gonna tell you something, Frank. There are people that if you tried to be in a relationship with them, if you stayed with them over time, you'll end up just lying to them. Even though you don't want that to be the first go-to, but if a person is so engulfed with emotion, every time they get the truth, and it throws life off track. Like if you're dating me, and every time you offer me truth, I get upset. We don't fuck. We go through shit. I might get mad. One of us leave the house. If this happens every time you have an emotionally truthful conversation with me, you'll eventually stop doing it because it will cause too much strife. It'll be too much make up and break up. Or you would either have to dump me and leave me alone, or you'll have to stay and lie. Stay and suppress some of your thoughts and some of the things you would have spoke up about. And it's a lot of us in relationships that we don't realize. This is why we keep getting those type of relationships. It's a lot of men I'm pretty sure, Frank, you got relatives or homeboys that you like, damn, bro, why you lied to her like that? He can't even explain it. He can't articulate the way I'm like, I ain't no lying ass nigga like that on an everyday basis, but I done found myself down the rabbit hole in this particular relationship, just really saying anything.
Yeah, a couple of my partners, they change it up. They try to find up certain shit because if we two sensible adults and we sit there and we having a good, healthy conversation, and now you actively listening, when that trigger hit, that's when 100% emotion. Now you're no longer listening. You're trying to feel everything I'm saying. So whenever I say something, it's like whatever you say, it's like I just called you a lie. And it's like it ain't that.
Yep.
I'm trying to tell you how I see things. Yep. These are my two eyes. This is my mind.
But my feelings is telling me you disagreeing. My feelings is telling me you telling me I'm wrong. Like you say, you're just describing your perspective or even just your viewpoint. Ain't no right or wrong. But as you talk, I feel more and more like you're trying to say that what I think or what I saw is incorrect. And we go down a space of like throwing our relationship off track from growth and forward progress to the point where, like Frank just said, you start rearranging what you was going to say in a different way. And then it might not come out and communicate what you wanted it to from the beginning. So it looked like you left some stuff out. And all of this turns into a play of like, you are not being you, and they're out of their body with their feelings. You get nowhere. And I'm going to tell y'all, some of us sat in relationships for years doing this shit.
Yeah, I did. I don't know why this shit happened, so maybe you can give me an insight on this shit. And I think I had already told you about this shit. So I'm having a conversation, and I give my perspective on things. So to help her better understand what I'm talking about, I find something that we have already gone through that relates to what we're talking about. And when I do that, we start talking about what I'm trying to help her understand what I'm talking about. So we never get back to what I was talking about.
It turns into a whole. It turns.
Yeah.
Who can relate to what Frank is saying? You feel you get nowhere. Who can relate?
You don't get nowhere but tired.
It turns to an argument like, oh, I knew you was waiting to say something about that shit. Why you like, no, it's not that. I'm trying to help you better understand what I'm saying. But I didn't ask you to justify what I'm saying. I'm asking you to understand what I'm saying. I'm not saying you wrong, and I'm not saying I'm wrong. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm saying this is my perspective. So if you think I'm right or wrong, that shit don't matter. But do you understand what I'm saying?
The question to y'all is, what's the root? What is the root of that?
Her emotions.
Yep. And it goes back to, what's the root of that?
Like a defense mechanism?
Yes. How you were raised, your past trauma, your early life experiences. Again, that is why books like this are important. Celine, you had something you wanted to add? Who can relate to what Frank just explained? Because a lot of us, this is the story of the last 2 or 3 relationships.
I can, but arguments make me just want to forget it. I don't even want to talk about it no more. Because it turns into a bigger situation than what it started out to be. And I just want you to see the bigger picture, but you turning it into something else way left.
Right.
And then you end up gaslighting yourself too. When they get in those emotions, and if you ain't working on yourself, you start to be like, okay, maybe I was tripping. Maybe it was me. That was me. Like, if I tell you how I felt eventually, it's like, well, you tripping or you doing this. And I'm like, okay, maybe I was tripping. Maybe because it came back from me having those same reactions. So I was combating both personalities together. And it was like, it was just too much. It started to become draining. So you end up shutting down, not saying nothing, and just adjusting to their behavior.
Yep.
And when that right there, and I don't understand everything y'all just said. And when I'm gonna tell you what I thought when stuff like that happens, and you say what you just said, or you shut down, or either you get overly emotional and you just start yelling, blurting out shit, and we looking like, damn, what the fuck did I do? And you don't say nothing. Now we think we said something wrong. And now this shit carry on 3-4 days. And now we trying to figure out like, damn, how the fuck to fix something? The only thing we just know is, babe, I'm sorry. Like, I ain't mean to hurt you. It make it feel like we did something wrong. And now when we try to clean it up, you say over whatever I said,
too much
been
said. Too much has been said. Too much shit. What the fuck? Too much shit. Frank, that's what I'm saying. Too much shit has been said about too many different subjects that you don't even realize. I can't tell y'all how many people I'm trying to counsel through a relationship, and in that moment, they can't even remember what they was arguing about. It's like, okay, what y'all want to do this session on? Well, we had a big argument the other day. Okay, what was the subject or topic of the argument? They can't even remember. One person talking about when this person said this, the other person talking about when this person said this. Nobody can really explain the root of what they're trying to solve. And this is when I know, okay, some feelings got hurt along the way of the conversation, and it just turned into a back and forth.
Yeah.
Now, who remembers
that's
seeing?
the hard part right there, love.
Who remembers seeing this growing up?
All the time.
And not even just
my parents argue.
Go ahead.
I never saw my parents argue, but I always heard my dad accuse my mom, and my mama tell me I can't do nothing. I can't go get my nails done. You always think I'm doing something or cheating. But in my head, I'm like, I never see y'all argue. So I was confused on where the energy was coming from because it was just so weird. It was very passive aggressive. So I never saw them like cold shoulder each other, because my mom would get up, she'll cook, she'll clean, she'll do whatever he asked him to do, or whatever the case may be.
Chrissy,
but she was unhappy.
I'm glad you're saying that, because I'm gonna tell you something. For women, when we're in relationships with men and the men are operating like that, it's like almost 10 times worse, because we go deeply passive to where, just like she's describing, we pretty much allow anything.
It's okay.
Yeah.
When females be in those situations, where the guy is sensitive to a lot of different things because he doesn't have his emotions managed. We just allow shit. Just don't say shit about shit. And this is why a lot of females have disturbing testimonies. Like they went in such a passive space, it's disturbing. Where you realize, like, plain as day, they're the problem. The man was the problem, but they're the problem, if you understand what I'm saying. Meaning type of shit that she allowed, it's like, it's fucked up that he did it, but bitch, you had to have been crazy.
Yeah, she definitely was crazy because she the reason I left my marriage, because she was like, "You gonna end up just like me and your daddy." I was like, "Oh hell no, I am not gonna be in my 70s." And this nigga calling me, telling my son, "Am I with a man?" What? No. I was like, time to get a divorce. Can't do it. I love my parents but at the end of the day, if that's your whole entire life, that's all you dealt with, and you don't say nothing, you just go home, you hate it there. And I was in that type of marriage. But I was like, this can be my hell no.
Right, but if you understand it, when you don't have the skills, like the things that I be teaching on my platform and like the stuff we read about in this book, when you don't have the knowledge about this type of shit, it feels like this is the way it's supposed to be done, because every time I try to go about the conversations a different way, like you and Frank was just saying, and somebody else that spoke up, it ends up getting worse. It feels worse. When you try to not just sit there and be passive and have the conversation, you end up either getting overly emotional, or the other person realizes that you're, in a space where you're not hearing them. So y'all don't want to go back to that. So you just go along to get along, go along to get along, go along to get along. After a while, it becomes the norm. It says
my relationships that when I was in them, I was the one that wanted to have those deep conversations. And tell me what's wrong so I can correct it. I want to be Miss Goody Two Shoe. I want to be the one you really want. So I'm over correcting what he tell me wrong with me. But when it's come to me to tell him what's wrong with him, making me feel, now I'm the bad guy. Now he gaslight me. Now it's just something wrong with me. And I saw that with my mother. How it's okay for her to criticize and say things, but the moment you go to say and criticize, now that's a problem. Yep. You know what I'm saying? Now, and that's the people that I was having in my life. I would have to defend myself, and then I would have people say, "Oh, you act like you're interrogating me," or if I want to get clear.
How many people have heard that? How many people? Because I love what Adrian's saying. How many of y'all had somebody tell y'all, like, you interrogating a nigga, like you asking fucking questions back to back, like we in court? Are you the police?
Yeah.
How many of y'all?
Yeah.
It's extremely masculine. It's extremely unbecoming of healthy communication. It's not normal. It stems from a space of a control complex, character flaws that have to do with unhealthy attachment styles. It's not normal. People are allowed free will. But we have this weird warped mentality that once we get in a relationship with them, we're some sort of ruler over their thinking and the way they're going to be. And this is what makes it where we don't understand love. We don't understand healthy relationships. If you cannot understand and process your feelings, if you have no skills and no self-control or discipline about your emotions in this day and age, male or female, that shit will run you. And when you're a male that was raised by just a female and you only learned about emotions from a woman all throughout your upbringing, the majority of the time it's dangerous. Because men fuck things up physically. Women, we fuck things up with words. And if you're in this country a full-grown male and you get overly emotional and aggressive, shit happens that will land you dead or in jail.
That's real shit.
It says,
I've been going through that shit. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Frank.
I done been through that shit. I just turned 40. And like, I done learned so much in the past 3-4 years. It's like, it's crazy because I used to be a hothead. Didn't know why, but I was a hothead. I had to protect myself at all times. Like, I got beat when I was younger. Older, ain't nobody gonna put their fucking hands on me. You ain't gonna look at me crazy. You ain't gonna say nothing crazy or nothing like that. I'll bat you up. So as I got older and I had my son, I kind of calm that down, but I still get triggered and not give a fuck about nothing. Whenever somebody set me off, it's like, shit, fuck the world. I don't give a fuck what happens to me. And then once I come down off that fucking mountaintop, now I can see everything clear. Like, damn, I'm tripping.
Yep.
You know, so I find catching myself even more. Like, I seen it in my son one time. I was like, whoa, hey, man, come here. I'll let you real quick. You know, I need to talk to you. Your eyebrows did something different in you. Mouth got tight. Like, no, we can't do it. Let's talk about that. Now, I need you to understand that feeling that's going through you. And that's what I realized a lot, like, when I watch the news and everything. Like, I see a young dude shoot another young dude. Like, back home, you get one of my little partners got sprayed up getting off the school bus. He ended up at 16 by another 17-year-old. That's crazy. I'm an 80s baby. Grew up fighting.
I'm gonna tell you, Frank, and this is a very basic lesson. Like, when you're parenting nowadays, especially with young boys, there are things that girls can get away with that boys can't, and there are things that boys can do that girls can't. But we in a day and age where everybody wants it all to be one and the same, right? But the one thing that you could never change is that it looks different when a grown man does the same shit that a female does in the emotional realm. So, for example, when you see a young man rolling his eyes and raising his eyebrows or tightening his lips or balling up his fists or coming closer into your space, that hits differently than if a woman or a young girl does it. And see, when you raise young men to not understand that, you get a world where keep getting locked up, keep getting fired, keep getting doors shut on you, to the point where you find yourself 35, 40, 50, and you can only do so much with your life. Not because you can't, because you're restricted, but because you restricted yourself with your behavior and your understanding from your generational curses. Do y'all understand what I'm explaining?
Yeah, I definitely understand. I definitely understand that to a different degree. Like, I share that shit with my son, and I let him know, like, you know, sometimes you're gonna get mad. This ain't a perfect world. That's gonna happen, but you gotta understand what you're getting mad over. Is it really worth it? You gotta really analyze everything. Like,
but Frank, I'm gonna tell you this, and I'm interjecting on purpose. The idea is not about, you know, can I or can I not get angry. The idea is, do I understand what I look like when I'm upset? Like, when I talk about relationships and being a full mature adult, right? The idea is, am I fully aware of what I look like when I'm upset? Like, there was a Zoom where I asked the people in the Zoom, what do you get like when you mad? And as people start to describe themselves, it was ugly. Ugly. So the idea is, if you get extremely ugly when you're upset, and what you describe, this is you describing you. This wasn't nobody else telling me how they are. The things that they said that they do and say when they get upset is not reflective of being able to sort through a conflict with them, right? So what you're telling me is that you're not mature enough to be upset and still sort through real life issues. I'm asking, what are you like when you upset? Oh, I get sarcastic. Oh, bitch, I get petty. Oh, I cuss your motherfucking ass out. Oh, I don't give a damn. I talk about your dead grandma. Oh, yeah, I ain't trying to hear shit. Oh, yeah, I'm ready to fight. Oh, yeah, I'm ready. None of this that explains an adult that can take on some heavy anger or, you know, upset emotions and work through something. It all just is childlike, immature, hood, raggedy shit.
Big facts. Big facts.
Do y'all understand what I'm explaining? So the idea is, if we're talking about parenting, I need to help my children be aware of what they're like when they're upset, when they're agitated, let me make them aware. If we're talking about being present as you parent and how someone should have been for you, like Jessica described, as I feel things, someone should have been there to help explain, okay, here is what's going on. Here is what you don't want to project out. Here is what you do want to express or articulate. Here is where, you know, you matter. Here is the realm of not trying to make someone feel how you feel. Because when I ask people how they are when they get upset, a good majority of the people will say, from there, I try to make the other person feel how I feel. Bitch, you hurt my feelings. Now I'm trying to hurt yours. You made me mad. Now I'm trying to make you mad. And there's a lot of us that we were like this in relationships. Like, the nigga do something to make me mad, all I'm doing right now is trying to make him mad. And then as soon as he get mad, it's like, yeah, motherfucker, now you see how I feel? I ain't trying to leave. I'm not trying to leave the nigga alone. I'm not trying to sort through the problem right now. All I know is, bitch, you tried me, so now I'm finna try your ass back. And once I try you back, and I get that, I'm gonna poke at Frank until I make him mad like I'm mad. Now when he blow up and he ragingly angry, and I'm like, yeah, you see how that feel? Yeah, exactly.
Every woman I done talked to done did that shit. And every last one of them I done told, ain't nothing you gonna do to make me I can understand what you're saying, but you ain't gonna, my mad and your mad is two different mad, and what you trying to do, I know you're trying to do it on purpose. So why are you doing it? Like this, I ain't gonna understand how you feel, because you feel it right now. You just wanna fuck my world up so fucking bad. Yeah, okay, you done keyed my car. You done fucked up the furniture. Everything that I bought for us, you took it and made it personal. So you fucking over us. This is the stuff that I work on. Let
me ask y'all something. Who was raised on the concept of get your lick back? What your mama tell you at the playground? Somebody hit you, you better do what?
Get your lick back. Oh, my get back was with my husband, with my ex-husband. My get back was I'll cook for him, but I wouldn't fix his plate. I had sex with him, but I wouldn't be into it. That'll be my get back.
Just being petty?
I'll wash his clothes, but I wouldn't fed it.
But why you
fold him, put him up?
Right.
That was my get back.
But do y'all see where y'all see where it come from?
That's why he's my ex-husband.
You see where it come from? Now watch this. When you were a child, right? Especially for those of y'all raised in the single parent households, single mother households, you make your mama upset. What does she then do?
Ooh, child.
Something to make you upset. Rather you got your ass whooped, and then what happens when you get your ass whooped and you don't cry or act like you upset? What they say?
Oh, you being disrespectful if you don't cry. But then when you do cry, they tell you to shut up for they give you something to cry.
But if you sit there and take the ass whooping and don't cry,
you being disrespectful.
They gonna keep hitting you.
Until you do what? They gonna keep hitting you until you do what?
If you don't, until you cry, until you feel their pain.
And why do you gotta feel that? Because of what they felt.
Yeah, that's how I was. That shit. That was nothing. I was used to it. I used to ass whooping. Yeah, go ahead, get out the way.
You get programmed. So then when you get older, when someone upsets you, you feel as though you need to do what?
Cry.
Make them upset.
Yes.
Gotta retaliate. Yep.
You know it don't, because the idea is, you go back to what I said. Look, and even what Adrian said, she ain't trying to leave. She ain't trying to get a divorce. He just want to make him feel how he made her feel. I feel tried. I'm finna try your ass back. You made me mad. I'm finna make. Now this ain't reflective of progress or getting an understanding or developing a new sense of establishing some sort of new agreement for our relationship. It's just all along the lines of broken ass core beliefs I got from being programmed from the behavior from childhood. It says emotional intimacy. Emotional intimacy involves knowing that you have someone you could tell anything to, someone that you could go to with all your feelings about anything and everything. A lot of us don't realize until you read books like this and you have discussions like this that we were never that for somebody else. But you can't come tell me all your feelings because you fuck around and say something that make me feel some type of way. I'm going to invalidate the fuck out of your feelings. And you ain't going to be able to tell me I did anything wrong. Who can relate?
Yep.
Your feelings is okay until it triggers my feelings, and then now it's fuck your feelings.
I can relate to that. It's crazy as it is.
Who did this part?
It's always been fuck my feelings as a man, because when I've talked to women, depends on if I'm talking to a random girl or a random lady or some shit like that. Like, it ain't really that big, but it turns big if they put out some stuff that is really sensitive and dear to them, and I rebuttal with something like something that's factual, like you probably didn't understand this right here or what he said or what she said, and it's looking like I'm taking sides and I don't even know you. Mm-hmm. So it's like I beg her, like, whoa, I ain't mean to hurt your feelings. Like I'm just saying. So now I find myself trying to appease what's going on with her on the inside, which I don't know what the hell is going on. But at the same time, it's like I'm saying I'm sorry without using those words. I'm sorry because now I'm trying to really spoon feed you what I just gave you in a big tablespoon. Like now I gotta retract what I just said and I gotta give it to you. Like, okay, this is what I was saying.
So let me say this, Frank, right? A lot of us don't realize, and some of y'all may recognize, but I know for a fact a good majority of us don't realize that after going through this in childhood and then having, poor experiences in relationships, you get to a space where when conflict comes up or heavy emotional conversations come up, you're just trying to get them over with.
Yeah, I can agree with that big time. I had a conversation with a lady yesterday. Well, no, not yesterday, maybe about 2 weeks ago. I'm on the road and we on the phone. I'm talking about it's a good, intimate conversation. It's active listening. I'm talking about it's going back and forth like a tennis match. And it felt good. So now it's like, dang, we got a good conversation going on. Now I can be even more real. Now I can open up just a little bit more to see how it go. And then I can just continue to open up. And then the conversation, everything we talking about, is only about us, not the things we done did, the things we done seen, the things we done
That's
read,
when you're in present
like
time.
So,
when you're conversating in present time.
Yeah. So now the conversation is real good. So now I got you active listening. And they were like, you remember when you was walking off and you was telling me about what you and your ex was doing? Like that really made me feel some type of way.
Recording in progress.
And that right there, that
Recording
moved
stopped.
me a different type. That moved me a different type of way. So he was like, well, what do you mean? I was like, well, at first, before we got to this place, you was telling me like, oh yeah, we stayed right here. I said, but in my mind, I'm thinking like, damn, you reliving the past, but okay, I understand that's something you went through. Okay, yeah, I got it. But once we actually get there, physically get there, you got super excited, like, dang, I didn't know we was close. So now you taking pictures and everything. You showing me something different that I ain't never seen. Well, I didn't mean it. I was like, no, I know you probably didn't mean it. But I'm telling you what my eyes and my mind was thinking when I was just standing there watching you interact with everybody in your surroundings.
So I'm going to tell y'all something because I like what Frank's saying. I'm going to tell y'all why for 2 reasons, right? One, how many of y'all feel like Frank coming off controlling with what he's explaining? How many of y'all feel like what he's saying makes sense?
Make a lot of sense in my healed mind. But I could see it from an unhealed space, like when I was in my 30s, in my 20s, when I thought I was the shit. And you can't tell me nothing. I'm a single black woman and I'm independent. I probably wouldn't have been able to receive it. But right around the age of 42, 43, I would be able to receive what he's saying. That's why it makes sense to me now. But thinking back in my old mind, no, it wouldn't have made sense to me.
So I'm going to tell y'all something, because I like what Adrian said. There are a lot of women that have been in relationships with men that, they attracted. And the niggas really don't give a fuck about them to get deep with them. So it's certain stuff that they've been able to say in the presence of these men, and it didn't matter. So then when you get with somebody, like, for example, Frank, that's a deep thinker or is genuinely into you and trying to get to know your inner, you say shit that's highly inappropriate, or you operate in ways around him that is inappropriate for dealing with that type of man. Who understands what I'm explaining as a female? Like, you got certain type of relationships where I can speak on my ex and talk about certain stuff and bring up certain things. And when you've dated these type of niggas for so long, you end up developing a space of talking to men like they're your homegirl. And then when you meet that one dude that is on some different kind of shit with you, like I'm on some grown man shit, I'm trying to understand this woman as my woman. You trying to do all this homegirl shit with this man and talk and act in ways, and it's not okay for that type of relationship. Do y'all understand what I'm explaining? I'm speaking to the females.
Yeah, I was gonna say I met a dude. He used to be like, "That's not my business," and then at first I was like, "What the fuck?" Like it felt offensive at first, but as you mature, you get older. It's like, damn, that actually makes sense. Like, what does that have to do with him? Like, he wasn't being rude. He was correct. Like that ain't got nothing to do with me.
Yep.
Like
It feels controlling, Chrissy. It feels controlling.
It does, but it's not.
Yep. And what people aren't telling young women, like a lot of us, you know, even when we were young teenagers, just liking boys, people, you know, weren't telling us that you can't operate with a man like you do your homegirls. You know how people be saying, you know, you want your boyfriend or your husband to be your friend, but not that friend like your homegirl friend. When a man is genuinely into you and trying to lay claim to a life with you, he not trying to hear certain shit. And this is why, I'm going to tell y'all something, this can be triggering for a lot of people, but this is why there are a lot of men that have themselves together that they don't want a woman with a past. It's hard for a lot of women when men start talking about this, like they don't want a woman with a past, because if I'm into this woman, I don't want to hear about that other shit. Like Frank saying, I don't want you to get all a certain kind of way or even hear about, oh, that's the house me and this other nigga used to stay in, or me and my ex-husband used to live over here, or me and my other boyfriend, we done ate here before. So this is why a lot of men, they're like, nope, I don't want a bitch that got kids or baby daddies or a long past or a deep history with another man, because it's like nowadays women are becoming so free-spirited and so outspoken with a lot of their personal business. Nothing is left. And when I say personal business, there are things that are personal to you. You are still allowed your own individual privacy while being in a relationship with another person when it comes to things like this, meaning shit that doesn't matter to the growth of the relationship. Do y'all understand what I'm explaining?
Yes. And from like listening at your platform and reading the books, you know, before I even started doing it, and you helping me to like apply to my life, let me know how to talk about my past without talking about individual people. I talk about it like I went through some things in my past in abusive ways, and I learned through healing that I allow certain things. You know, I don't talk about, oh, that nigga dog me, he pay child support. You know, I don't talk about it like that no more. I talk about how, you know, I did this and I had to get these jobs, and, you know, I had to boss up real quick, you know, and now I want to be in my lane. Now I don't need to do that no more. My kids grown and gone, you know, so I start talking about my healing more than I talk about my pain.
It's that, I love it, Adrian. It's that trauma bonding. And a lot of us don't realize when a man, similar to the same situation like what I'm explaining with Frank, when a man is genuinely laying claim to building a life with you, these type of men want to solve. Like a man that is stepping up in that leadership role in y'all relationship. If my wife or my lady or my girl has an issue or a problem or something that ails her or is stressing her, men aim to solve. So if you constantly bringing up stuff about your ex or your baby daddy or things that happened in the past, like I'm just a friend or a homegirl that you could just vent this shit to, you're not realizing as a man, I'm developing a certain space towards that nigga or them niggas or that situation. So then later on, when you want me to be cool, calm, collected, and chill, or coexist in a space with this nigga for the sake of the kids or family or some shit, now you can't understand why I'm aggressively upset.
But that's how, when I learned that when I was married to a man who had a kid, and it was so much drama, and I'm like, I don't want to have a painted picture of this girl by what you said. Because if I left you right now, you're going to run right back to her. And no, I'm not. As soon as me and him broke up, he went right back to her ass. And I'm like, that's what I'm talking about. There's something there. So I started to believe, like, when there's all this upbringing and talking and discussing, there's some unhealed trauma there. So it's like, we don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear about her, because now. But
I'm going to tell you something, Chrissy. I'm going to tell you.
It's a lot.
Right. It is. And you're very correct with what you're saying, but I'm gonna tell you something. Our problem is, instead of deeming that just some terrible red flag and running, you check the person's growth. Because I'm gonna explain a very basic concept to y'all, right? And I explained this to somebody I was talking to yesterday. In life and relationships, we are going to go through stuff. The idea is You're not trying to not go through stuff because that's not possible. What you're trying to do is have yourself healthy and stable so that when you go through stuff, you can go through it and take it on from a mature space. It doesn't break you, right? So, for example, I can have things happen to me that cost me financially. If I have myself stacked up stably with my finances and my streams of income and living below my means and having things invested, when I take on financial hits, I'm able to take them on from a mature space and bounce back or continue at a steady pace while taking hits from different stuff that's coming from life. It's the same with relationships. If we have a solid foundation and we have taken care of the things that matter, right? For us to be strong, healthy individuals, we can take on things like life, traumas or infidelities and work through them. This is why strong marriages make it through the same shit that weak ones don't. So the idea is, if I notice, okay, Chrissy keeps talking about a certain ex or a certain situation a lot. What I'm going to do, right, if I'm dating her right now, I'm going to propose some therapy for her. I don't want to get in the business of it. I don't want her to sit down and run down to me how her ex or the baby mama or the baby daddy is a pussy asshole or a fuck nigga. No, I don't need to get offended also because it doesn't have anything to do with me, right? I hear you bring this up one too many times. Chrissy, look, I could tell there's some unresolved trauma and issues with that situation. I'll help you look for a therapist and you can start going to therapy as your partner. If we need to look at our finances and I help you even pay for a few sessions, I'm willing to do that. But I think you should go and get some help where the things that you express are confidential and they're not smeared on the top of what we're building to where I start to judge you or the other person based on your experience with them. Now, the idea is if she doesn't want to go to therapy, if she doesn't want to explore the idea that something more could be ailing her, then I make a decision, or rather I want to still deal with her. But I don't just, she got traumas and it might be something there, and so I don't want to fuck with her. No. Because again, this is a part of life.
And I feel like being on your platform, being in your classes, I'll be like, what the fuck did my parents teach me? They didn't teach me shit.
This is why I be saying what I be saying. I'm telling y'all, from the most respectful place. When y'all hear me say, your mama ain't teach you shit, your daddy ain't, I'm telling y'all because when you understand life, this is what you start to parent your kids on. It got to a point where I really don't give a fuck about how my kids match their clothes and all that shit. Those things are basic. I'm worried about, do you understand how to process? Can you articulate what you're feeling and thinking? Do you know how to talk through conflict while being respectful? Can you express and, be assertive with your feelings when I send you out into the world? Do you understand the shit that actually matters versus the stuff that people tell themselves in their mind matters? And then when you look at life, it does not. How many people know more than two people, right? In their immediate ability to touch right now, like you got their phone number or you're able to reach out and talk to them. You know more than two people that emotions run them.
Oh my Lord.
So many people.
Of course, yes.
But what my mother taught me, the most valuable thing my mother taught me is to read. She was an avid reader and she told me read. That's how you learn. So that's how I was able to heal myself based upon that fact that she told me to read.
But how many of y'all, because I like what Adrian's saying, how many of y'all know more than two people that they stay in their feelings about something that happened, but they got bigger problems than the stuff that they in their feelings about?
Oh my Lord.
It's people that, it's like, there are so many things with your basics you need to be getting together. There is stuff with your physical health. I'm going to tell y'all one of the things that it hurts my heart when I see it, especially with my people, but I know where it comes from. I know a lot of people that their physical health is poor, but they care more about what a motherfucker said to them or said about them or posted about them on your leg swole up or you're severely overweight or you got diabetes or you got heart issues, or you got thyroid issues, or you got, high blood pressure, or you got certain things going on with you health-wise that should be at the forefront when you wake up every day. You should be tackling that. And you're more worried about what somebody said, or who talking to this nigga, or what this bitch said about this, or what your baby mama posted, or what your baby... And I'm talking about equally, male and female. Like, I know just as many men as I know women, that their health... And you can look at them. Your eyes yellow, something wrong with your liver. You always talking about your knees and legs aching, something is going on. And all of it relates back to diet, exercise, and generational curses that come from things that are hereditary that they could have changed through changing their diet, their exercise, managing their stress level. This should be at the top of what they care about, but it's not. Their conversations are constantly about shit that has nothing to do with the stuff that's going to save their fucking life. And it's being controlled by emotion. The reason why they can't wake up and say, you know what? I could actually spend time, like Adrian said, educating myself and reading up on my type 2 diabetes, or what's going on with my liver, or how to drastically change the weight that I've gained, or how to exercise more to change what's going on with my lungs or my heart, or how to overcome this addiction to cigarettes or smoking too much. Like, I could actually do these things if I could stay out my feelings long enough to decide that this is what I'm going to focus on.
Shit.
When you can't...
I had people say that, oh, I got high blood pressure because that run in my family. I said, because you still eat the same food your family makes.
Most of the things, especially in our community, yes. Most of the things they tell us are hereditary. It's only hereditary because generation after generation, y'all all eat the same thing. You develop the same daily routines. You go about life the same way. The minute you change those things is the minute you will start to see that the very medical issues that you thought you had to get because your grandma had it and her grandma had it, or your daddy had it and his daddy had it, you will see that you won't have it. A lot of us got to realize at the top of our list of things to sort out is getting ourselves in a realm of understanding our emotions. Where did the root of my being focused on my feelings more than logic, more than being in present time, where did that core belief come from? So the book says emotional loneliness. Parents who are emotionally immature, on the other hand, are so self-preoccupied that they don't notice their children's inner experiences. It says, in addition, they discount feelings and they fear emotional intimacy. They're uncomfortable with their own emotional needs, and therefore they have no idea how to offer support at an emotional level. Such parents may even become nervous and angry if their children get upset, punishing them instead of comforting them. It also says these reactions shut down children's instinctive urge to reach out, closing the door on emotional contact. And there are a lot of us that we went through a good majority of our teenage years in this particular space. There are a lot of people right now, they're 10 to 15-year-old be in the room all day, not really talking to nobody. And when they try to have a conversation with them kids don't really say too much to them at all.
Man. It's sad. And I was going to say, and it's like the parents really blame the kid. Like, well, that's on him if he don't want to open up. Girl, you don't think for a second that you the problem?
Right.